Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in the first webinar of 2025. My name is Jan, and I will be your host today. In today's rapidly evolving tech landscape, AI is not just a buzzword, it's becoming the cornerstone of modern business transformation. So that's why we designed this webinar series to take you through every aspect of building and implementing AI platforms, from data foundations and later to autonomous AI agents. So our series will consist of 4 monthly sessions, where each month we will talk about those topics. Well, today we will kick off with architecting AI success with data and cloud. In February, we will talk more about successful integration of different data sources in a quite complex ecosystem. In March, we will explore evolution from traditional BI, what we are doing for many, many years, to now AI-powered decision-making solutions. And finally, in April, we will be exploring the exciting frontier of autonomous digital workforces and building AI agent for it. Well, for today's session, I am thrilled to introduce our experts, Kosta Stojakovic, our principal architect, and Petar Damjanovic, our data architect. They will guide us through the complexities of preparing data and leveraging on different cloud services. They will be sharing, practical strategies and some real-world insights, what we have learned in, many years building data systems, and which are aligning with our business objectives. So before we dive into the topic, I would like to remind you that you can drop questions in the chat. So we will have a session at the end to answer some of those questions, but you can drop them throughout the presentation. So thank you very much for joining. And now let me hand it over to Petar and Kosta to begin our exploration of architecting AI success. Guys, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jan. I hope you can hear us.
All right. Yes, we
can. Yes. Welcome all. I will be starting and Kosta will take over on different sections. And the way we wanted to start this very interesting topic is with a why. So always the motivation for why are we at all speaking about this and what are the ongoing trends that we see. We do have a McKinsey survey made in November 2023, where CEOs were asked about their choice for growth. So they responded that investments in new businesses are bearing fruit even during uncertain times. What came most interesting to us in this report is that the number one reported new business to be implemented is revolving around data analytics and AI platforms. And also very interesting here to see is that they grouped together these 3 big topics, which we wanted to talk about a bit more and to start with the key precondition of the data itself. And on average, you can see it is split by industries, but all in all, when you do an average, number one is what we are talking about today. A bit more fresh report from March 2024 is, of course, showing the what you probably figured out so far, that AI adoption worldwide has increased dramatically in the past years. One extracted insight from the data and the survey itself is the use of generative AI, which, in our opinion, skyrocketed. And the survey respondents also responded about the risks they consider on the success of the Gen AI project. This is specifically for the generative AI. With the trend of how much was it considered in 2024 and how did it change in 2020? What was it in 2023 and how did it change throughout 2024. And what's, well, to us, most interesting here is the number one risk companies actually consider relevant and are trying to mitigate, and that's the inaccuracy of the data. It even grew within the year of most supposedly projects being finished and then put into production, into use. I think the overall message that we wanted to also share with you that without well-prepared data, even the most advanced algorithms can produce inaccurate or misleading results. So speaking about the risks and then asking about the negative consequences which were reported, so not just considering what could go wrong, but actually what went wrong, 44% of respondents have experienced at least one of them, again, inaccuracy being the most frequent ones. Also interesting here to see is that 39% reported that none of the above were actually negative, which could mean several things, including that they haven't experienced it yet. Moving on to next section. Pasta?
So, yeah, in a sense, Petra already touched base a couple of things regarding data. So data is a food for AI, or the insights that you want to generate. So in other words, we can say garbage in, garbage out, which means that you should take care of which data and how to collect data, which is data relevant and which is not relevant, and then focus on the things that matters. And having that thought, the first thing is that some decisions needs to be made. So how much data is really enough? One of the biggest misconceptions is that collecting more data will automatically improve your machine learning model. The really, however, is quite different to the reality. Quality over quantity, and simply storing more data won't help if the data is noisy and irrelevant for or full of errors or irrelevant context for your business needs. So LLM is everywhere now. LLM is even from the refrigerator, as we can say. So what needs to be then addressed here is which approach we need to use LLM in things or daily matters or the project that we want to create. So there is a couple of approaches. Generalist, in a sense, how to use the LLM models to find things. And then when we need a specialist in when we want to retrain the model or what we want to do in a sense of the context that we want to realize. So wisely use LLM. Time and cost is something that is always have to be in mind. The data preparation is not one-time task, is always continuous process. And don't forget about that in a sense that everything starts with the data and ended with the data once you have to reprocess it. Moving on, in other words, is that we needs to take a user consent with the data in a sense that anonymized data is sometimes not having enough information for us to consume or to conclude anything. So anonymized user is sometimes misleading us to some things that we want to conclude. We will probably make sure that we will showcase one time that we have that in mind. So for your projects, you have to think about user consent first of all. Then data governance. Set up policies, standards, or procedures that can guide you to collection of storage of analytic and analysis of data. Ensure compliance with the legal and ethical standards, which means that data governance requires a more dynamic and a self-learning and evolving nature of AI systems. It demands continuous monitoring and always updating the governance of policies to keep pace with AI advancements because they are now in daily matters. And ensure that AI systems remain aligned and societal values. Define roles and responsibilities. So most of all, the new role which is upcoming is a Chief Data Officer, and that is a role which all companies now need to introduce and to standardize. And privacy regulations are coming, especially in the EU. Then security, which is everyone's job. Attackers can use specialized modified training data to introduce biases and reduce the accuracy of AI model. Heads up, organized cybercrime is the most profitable type of crime. Least risk to the criminal, it's growing faster and is hardest to pursue. Having all this, and also one of the things that we want to underline here is that we have a guest, Tim Huckabee in Arc9, which is open us. That conference was on 2023. He opened up for us the hardware which is supporting AI. And as you can see, the trend is huge, and even in 2025 is going to be growth much faster. The second one is computation power, which is also rising. So we just want to underline the support for all these projects are growing also as the software. Now, we always ask, and we always have in mind that cloud agnostic versus cloud specific. This quadrant show a lot of players which are in this market, and the Gartner Magic Quadrant of the data integration tools show us that a lot of major cloud providers and also different smaller are in are the leaders in this sense. What is the message here is that you should not think only about one provider, but you can think about more. And also, if you have problems which can split on multiples, you shouldn't hesitate and you should utilize all the things that can help you to resolve your problems. Then that is the integration. As you can see, also it's quite about similar in database management systems. So options, as you can see, are numerous, and you should pick wisely, not on what is the trendy, but things that can help you resolve your problems. Now, you can see the variety of the things on all cloud providers, and all the services are similar, and you can find you can find them all in a sense that can help you, and you can also try to take best of all the worlds, and you can create your own, as you can call it, homegrown frameworks or homegrown services. So variety is huge, even the storage, database, tons of options. But what we want to underline here is that things that general AI services are going to have a new impact. So on AWS, we have a Bedrock. On Azure, we have OpenAI. On GCP, the Vertex AI, which means that all of those are continuously evolving and helping all of us to be prepared for things which are coming and for the projects that is going to be changed in the future. So having that in mind, how we can do that better?
Yeah, so we have prepared or summarized general tips on how can you proceed from this point on. And when it comes to the data architecture shifts, we agree with the following 6 advices. When it comes to infrastructure, we strongly believe that you should move from on-premises to cloud-based data platforms. I think that, as Costa showed, the services offering is only growing, and the trends are being followed. They even compete a bit in it. So you will have available all the necessary tools for improving your products and data projects. When it comes to velocity, we have encountered several already implemented batch projects, and do consider introducing the real-time aspect into it. It will probably help you out when you start with your AI ideas within the organization. Kind of related to the migration to clouds, we believe that most importantly, it impacts the time to market. Not only cloud, but also some existing platforms or products. We do get often questions like buy versus build. we feel that it should be accounted for when planning the project itself. So accommodate it to your needs. Know that there are pre-integrated solutions or modules, and feel free to use them. Security is always a major topic in these projects, and with the rise of the AI and riding on the wave of innovations, it is often ignored. There are vulnerabilities, there are aspects for attackers to use it to manipulate your data, to retrieve sensitive data. Please still bear in mind that it is not something that you leave for later, but account for from day one. Decoupling is a method which you can orchestrate in order to, let's say, split your enterprise warehouse to domain-based architectures, or let's say, be more specific, avoid doing centralized things, enable the teams actually providing the products and features to have their own place where they can manipulate the data and where can they be more focused and break from the generical model in your database. And of course, think about elasticity. So far, ERPs and all of the data that you probably store when it comes to sales, marketing, etc., is in some kind of a rigid data models. And with this shift, you would enable yourself to be more flexible when it comes to combining the data. So the whole idea of even introducing a data lake or something similar, or even a combination of a warehouse and a data lake, would make you be a more extensible and provide schema evolutions and storing different types of information within your organization. I suppose that most of you do have some kind of enterprise storage or even a data lake. It's nothing new at this point, but for those of you who don't, we always rely on best practices when it comes to the architecture. And in this manner, the most oftenly applied one is the medallion architecture. I will go into details. This is just an illustrative example of how can it be implemented. So starting from the bronze layer, this is where you store raw unvalidated data. It is intended for processing as a first step. It is served as a source of truth and enable you to reprocess and audit historical data. But I would just highlight here that it is probably most prone to applying the retention policies and all of the regulations that are in place here. These tools that are in between are just examples of how can you transform, but the idea is to transform in a way all the raw data that you're getting with various types, various velocities, and by storing it into the silver layer, you cleanse it, you enrich it, you structure it to be more consumable format for downstream processing. You can handle all of the missing values, do deduplication, practically apply data quality checks, typecastings, and so on, and make it ready for analysis by corresponding roles. Eventually, you create the gold layer, and it represents a highly refined views of the data, and it is primarily used to be put in the, let's say, satisfying a business goal. You connect tools to it for visualizations and provide reports. Usually when you do classical analytics and BI, this is where your underlying data is before you put it in a chart, in a graph, or in some kind of other report. The top set of tools is what we would account for as a new place in your organization, and it would also read from the gold layer. But before you can do that, you would need someone to actually create it if you don't have it. So we would like to also point out here that we see different roles participating in these kinds of projects. So marking color are which role is actually actively creating said layer. And in the context of making it AI ready, you should probably allow the data scientists or analysts to dig on your civil layer and try to make it more AI ready and put it into the code layer. Going into more lower level details, some practical tips, not for the architecture, but rather for methods of what you will probably do when you prepare your data. Number one, we would say to address the quality. You saw that inaccuracy is the top reported issue that organizations are facing, and we feel that you should choose a strategy that fits your business model. Start collecting relevant data, because if you change your mind and update it later on, it will probably introduce costs, increase timeline, and most likely impact your project's success. In our experience, we did encounter this for a specific project where we wanted to do the inventory forecast, and since the platform itself wasn't user-centric, there were a lot of anonymous users. We weren't able to effectively leverage it and to try to predict based on certain behavior because the data was simply not with good quality. Think about also aligning your business strategy with data strategy and rely on data-centric decisions and not on intuition ones, because you might fall into this pitfall. Next up, of course, is the noise removal. You would probably want to trim unusual peaks or outliers from the data itself. One project that we did for a e-commerce company, a famous one in Netherlands, was to predict the delivery time from warehouse to the delivery locations. Some of the orders which were used for training data had very unusual data, very unusual values, and that's where the team actually decided how to trim them, use some statistical or normalization methods in order to decrease the impact it would have on the model which is being trained. Adding a flag if the delivery is within Schengen or not, is it during holidays, is it during Black Friday, and so on. So you can also fill missing values by guessing it based on average or not, in case the average is not representative enough or you do not have enough info on other attributes for a certain record or a row, then you can simply think about deleting and removing the record. There are available models, you are probably aware, and think about fine-tuning them. You would encounter here a challenge to use your own data and to merge it into the existing and available model. So think about, would you like to append it to the training set? Would you like to use it for the testing set? And always please beware of overfitting, because if it overfits on your data, then it's probably not behaving good enough. Or for this one, we did have a fine-tune of the fashion clip. I believe we introduced a search products by image feature for fashion companies that we were working with. So this is kind of an example of what we mentioned during the presentation of when to use the specialized approach instead of going generic with an LLM, which would just cover all of your data and answer the questions on a more higher level.
Yeah, also, Peter showed you the medallion architecture. On that architecture, you see the bronze phase or the bronze part. Majority of the AI investigations are done in that part, so generalist approaches should be on that, and the specialized ones should be on the gold level when the data is cleaned and prepared. Just that as a tip. And some of the best practice that you want to mention, we have a couple of those for you. We want to statement a couple of things that can help you in a vision of the product or the vision how you can approach or how you can tackle things. One of the first things is to set the clear business objectives. We should take care of that the results are useful for the business that we want to achieve. and building a data platform for business, it is a long-term investment. In a sense, you can end up with interesting results, yet they are useless for your business. And it's unclear if the data project will yield useful result. And that can end up with some things that cannot help you achieving that goal. And also, don't have a platform just because it's a cool thing to have. But instead of that, you set up the goal why the platform is needed.
Because we said so.
Exactly. Align your data strategy with the business strategy is something that we find that is something helpful and meaningful for your business. Realistic expectations. Always, I can say always, but a majority of the clients, we end up with unrealistic wishes. And then after a couple of workshops and a couple of things, then we end up with something which is meaningful for the clients. So data projects usually are even harder to plan than a typical one, as for example, mobile or web applications. So if you have unmet expectations, that can lead you to dysfunction, disillusionment, and also abandonment of the project. I can say up to the 2022 on the McKinsey reports, 85% of the projects were end up or closed. So heads up. Then collaboration between the teams. If you have a model approach, then in sense you can end up with the silos. In the sense of the silos, it means that you create teams, you create a setup that is doing some part of the group of the features which help you one piece of the business, and you can end up with a poor communication between them, and then end up with you invest a lot of money to decouple, decentralize, and then it cannot help you with move on with your business goals and objectives, and you can end up with more and more. You can call it a cycle of things that are not happy flows for you and your company. So organized cross-team collaboration from the start is something that we should advise. And also the report on McKinsey showed that 90% of the project failed because of miscommunication. That is a huge number. If costly bugs and mistakes happened, it can not help you in a sense that then you have to do a lot of data cleaning or data reprocessing. So data reprocessing in some cases, if you have terabytes, even petabytes of data, can take you days and months. So what we introduce in our teams is a QA analytics. And we said it's important for us to have the QA in sense to see what is the quality of things that we are doing. So construct or try predicting the roadmap. It can help you not to hit that wall. Data quality, we cannot underline the importance of that. As you can see in each and every topic, Peter and myself rely on that. That is the huge impact of the success of your project. So if you let faulty analysis and poor insights, you will have unreliable or poor predictions, and you will not end up with the things that can help you. You will end up with the things that are creating you a noise and also not supportive for your decisions. So importance of the cleaning of the data on the civil layer is something that we underline that is also helpful to you to understand which data can be used or not used in a further decision or decision making. Include data analyst to the rescue is something that we also said in a previous thing, and we need that role in a sense to help us to understand the quality that we have. Last but not least, regarding the AI project itself, is simplify data models. Don't end up or skip failing into trap of using complex models when simple one models are available, and it can help you to finalize or to create the picture that you want to have and to want to have a product incorporated. So complex models are harder to interpret, maintain, and also reprocess if something is needed. So go domain specific. We have some conclusions. Peter, we can do it together, or I can do it. Nah, I don't mind. So we underline the data is a critical resource on a lot of projects, but AI is a crucial. So if you want to have a good or the best AI project, the data, the quality of data is important. So when you think all of these big data projects, you have to think big, structure to scale, and deliver on details.
Yep, and as mentioned before, if you want value, you probably need to get ready for a marathon. So from our experience, it's usually not a one-time task, and especially in the context of training the models, avoiding stale data, using representative data, you would retrain or append to the training model data, set fresh information, evolve the model, match it with business goals, then it will probably going to last.
Inaccuracy of data represents one of the main challenges in the industry, but in AI itself. So make sure that when you train the models, you train on the clean data, on the subsets, and to make sure that is contextual data. In a sense, contextual data is meaning the context is needed. So for example, the variety of sources you can have, but the context of how that data is connected, you need to understand, and then upon that, create, and you will have the then accuracy that you are striving for, because then it's not just a data, it's a meaningful data.
We would like to again highlight the cloud usage. It offers you many services. It offers you powerful, useful tools which you can leverage in order to make your project successful. We are not pitching for any specific one. You have lots of options. That's what we wanted to highlight here. With lots of services, you can combine, you can make hybrid solutions in case you want to avoid vendor lock-in. Go cloud agnostic, no problem. You still have some platforms which you can embed into each of the big three or rest of them and make it practical with according to your company's policies. It's not always what is the go-to, but usually, and depending on the use case, consider all of the trade-offs.
Yeah, and also depends if you're multi-cloud or your clients are in the separate clouds, and then you have to think about that, because then you need to have fast time to market, as you mentioned previously. Machine learning and AI heavily rely on the data and its nutrition. So we said, and we wanted to line garbage in, garbage out. You have to think about the quality of the things that you're putting into the data and to understand the data itself and behavior.
We would expect that the privacy regulation just gets broader and broader, especially in Europe. It's a trend that we see that the need for security solutions and privacy awareness is getting bigger and bigger. So please include from the start, plan it, try to be future-proof, and satisfy and apply all the compliances and laws.
And at the end, thank you for attention. This is something that we want to say on this webinar. Please open for the questions. And I think, Jan, we are perfect on the timing.
Thank you very much, guys. Timing is great. Well, thanks, first of all, Kost and Peter, sharing this inspiring story, and especially sharing those practical examples that, well, you have learned doing projects. Indeed, we have questions from the audience. So let me start maybe with data. So, well, data is the new oil. Data is the new gold. Everybody are saying that for the last couple of years. But we are also having challenges with the quality of it. So let's first we have question from Nick. What is data quality? Is just a lower noise level or some structure as well?
I think several questions could pop up when trying to decide is the quality high or not. So is the data relevant? Is the data stale? Is it representable of your data set? We mentioned the example where we could not benefit from the data as most of the data set was for the anonymous users, and then later on it was not applicable to the target audience. So aligning it with business goals would help you out decide or how good of a quality is, and that's where we also mentioned the role of a data analyst, which is strictly for providing such an answer.
That is a good question, I can say, and always when you think about quality of data, is data meaningful for your business? So, for example, you can have a sensor data, but if you're not decision making on those sensors, the data is irrelevant. But even the data is perfect data. So, in a sense, you have to think which data needs and help you, and then the quality of the data is represented by removing the noise, yes, and also to be a context in a sense where you put the data and how to use the data for some decisions, if that is needed. If not, then the quality of data is just if the data is with a timestamp and that's it. But as I said, it depends on the context where you use that data.
Okay. So we have another question. Wim is asking, so how much can AI model cover those inaccuracies? So can you use some LLMs or other AI models to fix those?
Nice, nice connection. In a sense, you can use LLM model to help yourself, but be aware that LLM model is not designed for that, but it can design to help you to understand maybe and to see where can be where are the gaps or where are the things that is missing, and in a sense, then after you see them, you have to learn how to remove them or how to create bigger or how to change the data to help you to with the quality.
I think that we had some discussions on do we use synthetic data? Do we use generated data? Do we want AI to provide the training data sets for us? And I believe that is a way to go only when you are in the dead end and you do not have anything else. There are several techniques which you can maybe try out, try web scraping, try collecting something, of course, with the quality in mind. I think the synthetically generated data is currently a topic, but I would expect it's just a bit more time to have it optimized a bit.
Yeah, on that perspective, on synthetically generated data, you can create some experiments which can help you to understand, but to create an entire model upon that, it's tricky because you have to have a context surroundings of the data that you have and where to put it. So it can help you to train, and we use that on some of our projects and help us to be more precise, but still the context of the data should be the real data. And then when you try it on the real data, then you will see what is the impact and how you manage to fulfill those gaps and the quality that you have.
Well, we might be a bit biased as our background is purely data engineering. And as Jan mentioned on the beginning, there will be other webinars where people will probably speak about it
a different way
in more AI topic related things.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe one more in the data arena. So the question is from Joost. So how would you handle if the data gets siloed when applying domain-based architecture and the count of products explodes?
There are some techniques and principles. I think on Azure, you have the data fabric available, I would interpret it as a layer in front of all of your silos. So if you are a big organization, you have a forest of products, thousands of them, you would probably end up into having a mess, and especially if you do not catalog it from start. One additional layer could be your solution in order to fulfill that gap where you are not sure where is what and what does it serve for. Catalog is probably the way.
Yeah, and there is some kind of joke. The API of the silos is that. So the fabric is the API of the silos, and it can help you to hit the domain that you needed, and also to help data scientists then to do it on a centralized way. So that can be a possibility how to help yourself and then move forward from that, and not to reprocess or to create centralized data lake because it will cost you more to have it.
Redundancy is not always a good idea, right?
Yeah. Okay. So go back to infra then. Now, Mark is asking, can you combine services from different providers easily? Just to combine best of breed approach?
I would say that from the integration point, if it relies on open source and common practices, it is logically, right? When we had some questions popping up, could we integrate the big three, and how much will it cost as a primarily question? We did rely on the calculators. There are available calculators which you can use to see, for example, in the data perspective. If you move petabytes of data, how much will the inbound traffic cost? How much will the outbound traffic cost, not only between providers, but also if you're in AWS, for example, between the regions and so on. So you can use that to estimate how much will it bother your budget to have a multi-cloud environment and so on. Of course, if there's always a question, which one then should we go for? I do encourage, or we do encourage clients to try to make a deal with the providers. You would maybe get a discount if your data is meaningful enough, and just pick the best offer. The market is widespread. You have lots of options, as you saw on the quadrant. So pick wisely.
And depends where your data is. So if your data is probably on Azure, the mainly idea is to have that on Azure, because then you don't have to pay migration and the other services which you then connect, and it's more expensive than it should be. And also we have a couple of things or tricks that we did for some of the clients. For example, they have their own data center, but they have clients on multiple clouds. And what we did, we create them a separate one-click infra, and then after that, one that set up, they just start combining and using the data or data migrations between them and the clients, and that is also an option. So there is a variety of options and variety of things, but it depends on which business case and which problems are you going to solve or what you want to build as a value.
Right. Thank you. And maybe last question, looking at the time. Well, Nebojša is asking, because you mentioned that around 90% of the project fails due to lack of communication. So he's wondering, is this lack of communication between business and technical teams, or maybe you can provide some sort of recipe or best practice how to start project, how to structure that communication, or what would be the approach to hopefully avoid that miscommunication on the project?
Great question. There is no one answer to rule them all, but still it depends how you organize your organization. It depends how many architects, how many people do you involve in the project. So I know that data mesh is sometimes it is a option, but sometimes is a big mess. It depends also how people adopt that organizational part. So, for example, all things which are going to decentralize or to create that domain model approach, in a sense, needs to be communicated between all the teams, and all of them have to have a unique goal at the end. It's to create a platform which can help each person to do it. If there is if that person is a data scientist or MLOps or a data engineer, and they understand how to use it and what to use it in which particular time. So I can say that in that sense, it's not easy like this. It's more complicated, but I want to simplify just how to take the first steps.
All right. I think we have a few. Peter, you wanted to say something? Okay, go ahead, please.
Costa is asking, do you have an opinion? Because he probably knows it very.
Oh, we have a different opinion.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Please share.
I would just go a bit more specific. Our experience is that it's more due to the cross-team communication instead of within one team. So not business or tech parts of one team, but when you talk about data where you need to fetch, as you saw on the medallion example, to the marketing, the sales, HR, orders, whatever, then that kind of collaboration, priorities, and so on is often missing.
And ownership in the multiple
teams. Not to touch on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, we have a couple of more questions, but unfortunately we don't have time for that today. Thank you, Costa. Thank you, Peter, for sharing this with us. I think we will share later on your LinkedIn, so the rest of the people, if they have some questions, they can reach out to you directly as well. Thank you all joining us today. As we said, this is the first webinar. We see each other on 27th of February, which is in a month time, and we are going to explore how we are going to build those crucial integration and how we will ingest the data for your new AI-driven platform that we are building together. Thank you very much for joining, and see you in a month. Goodbye.